You're the Tomb Raider. Figure it out.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Hey kids, welcome to Grumpy Nostalgia, the Second Look Cinema podcast, the show where we go back to the blockbuster new release wall of our memory, we grab a copy off the shelf, we pop it in our VCR, and we see what time has done to it. I'm Justin, that's Mike.
Bugger!
And together we're here to help you navigate all of those landmines littered down memory lane. So landmines indeed, Mike.
I think I might have been a little confused. I thought we're doing our tit for tat thing where, one of our podcasts, we watch a movie I didn't like, which was Il Postino, which stank. And then we watched one of the movies you don't like, which is The Matrix, and I thought we were done. And then you suggested this movie, and I totally did not remember this as being another kind of Trail of Tears movie. Apologies to the Cherokee Nation. But you know what I mean? Like I kind of was misled a little bit. I kind of walked into this one thinking, oh, this was a palate cleanser kind of movie maybe. And I think my memory of it from 23 years ago was a little clouded. I don't remember this being a bad trilogy movie that should be put in one of our trilogy of tears kind of thing.
Yeah, so what Mike's trying to articulate there is that he's a bit of selective memory here. This was his choice to watch this movie. I gave him an option. Yes. But we decided, we've been watching, as Mike mentioned, we've been kind of indulging ourselves in movies we don't like. And I think we went to the buffet too many times with this one, Mike. This is going to be our trilogy of the Trail of Tears. We have to watch a good movie next. But we thought we'd really kind of stick it to ourselves. And tear into Tomb Raider of 2001 with Angelina Jolie, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were two reasons why this movie was made.
Hence the tit for tat reference, I'm guessing.
Yes. Not leaving a lot of breadcrumbs
here. Yeah. But, so as the title suggests, we're cynical about films, especially generational about films. And we're going to say right here, little warning, but little PSA before we start the show. We're going to drift into millennial conversations here, guys. Only that, me and Mike have come to the conclusion, our theory, our hypothesis is that when millennials became the main target audience for films, that's when we kind of turned. We feel like we got pushed out, and we started to feel like we were the old guys up in the balcony that, they aren't good as they used to be. We feel we wanted to drift into millennial country here, just on the outskirts at least. So
yeah,
and try to prove our point a little bit.
All right, this was one of those movies that was kind of a harbinger of us becoming kind of the lost generation, because before us were the boomers who had all these great movies in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah, great.
And
music.
then we had our time in the 80s and 90s, and then here comes the 2000s with what I would consider a movie that this was not for us.
No,
this was one of those early advanced notices that, hey, we like you and all, we like your money, but you're not our target audience.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't I think we kind of collaborated long enough here. Let's just jump into it and see how much we can actually stomach this movie. This may be a different grumpy nostalgia for our regular fans. We may not be on our best game for this one.
and I want this is my personal disclaimer. I don't know about you, Justin, because you're more of a gamer than me.
Yeah,
I have not played any of the Lara Croft Tomb Raider games, any of the versions. I know they came out a while back. They've been around for a good bit here, but I have a very narrow range of games I've played, and this was not in them. So I had no knowledge of the video game before that I watched this movie.
Well, I don't think it hurts you at all in your opinion of this movie. I played these games a little bit. I'm not really a big fan of them. Maybe that was a contributing factor to my take on the film.
Yeah.
But let's get into that. So let's just start with the people responsible. And I mean responsible okay. This is directed by Simon West, Mike, one of our buddies.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's because that was Con Air.
So okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
He did the General's Daughter with Travolta as well. and a lot of videos for MTV back in the day, including Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Astley.
He's the master of Rickroll.
He's the Rick. We got Rick rolled on this movie, that's for sure. He actually turned down Black Hawk Down to direct this. So yeah, there you go for that. It was written by Sarah Cooper, who's just done a lot of TV stuff. You wouldn't really know her from anything else. Also by Mike Werb, who we also know we have association with. Mike, he wrote the Face Off.
Of course.
Yeah, and he wrote the movie The Mask.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. West did a lot of the writing here. Simon West did a lot of the writing himself because I guess that script he got wasn't good enough. So he tweaked it into this masterpiece. We got this.
Sarah Cooper. Who's Sarah Cooper? I'm Simon West. I know how to write movies.
That's right. I'll put some Conair in this mug. All right, so they had a budget of $115 million, Mike.
Wow.
That's $2001 million. So yeah.
Staggering.
It was released on June 15th of that year. So there you go. Right in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot to talk here in terms of cast, Mike, other than the big lead here. But why don't you walk us through people that brought this epic tale to the screen? Yeah,
we have our star, our titular star, Angelina Jolie, actress and director, might add. She got her, got her name and got known for being a lot of really good roles.
This kind of propelled her, didn't it? She was kind of like
this. This was the big mainstream movie that she was in, and she's very talented. She's John Voight's daughter, and Billy Bob Thornton's ex-wife.
Is she driving John Voight's old car?
Just driving around in John Voight's car.
Yeah, she was the one who put the teeth marks in the pencil.
That's right. I knew it was something like that. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I just want to say she shared vials of blood with Billy Bob and had a weird kind of relationship with her brother that she kissed on the lips
that's
at
normal.
The Oscars. She was Brad Pitt's ex for a long time. They adopted half of Asia and Africa practically, and before they split up. And like I said, she kind of left the acting scene and directed a couple good movies in there, like Unbroken.
Yeah.
And, so I have mixed feelings about her. She was in a couple of real schlocky movies.
I want to dislike her, but I really can't.
Yeah.
I had
the same feeling. Yeah. I could very much dislike her in this movie. But, you think about I think she was in Gone in 60 Seconds and Wanted, which, pretty good action movies. And I can't fault her for that. And then, like I said, she's already had displayed her acting chops in Girl Interrupted and a couple other, those indie kind of movies. Yeah. So again, like you say, it's hard to not like her.
Yeah.
Then you have John Voight, of course. Her dad is in this movie briefly.
Now he's much easier to dislike.
Yeah. Yes. Midnight Cowboy was a very long
except
time
for that.
ago. Yeah. His English accent is a bit toned down from his Anaconda role. Whatever accent that was, I think it was English. And wasn't it weird to you that Angelina Jolie and John Voight had English accents in this, and Daniel Craig had an American accent?
Yeah, I want to talk about that. That was
kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's it's weird. He's also kind of playing the same role he did in National Treasure, where he was kind of the tinfoil hat guy that had the the theories about hidden treasure and stuff. And it's interesting how he has both of those roles now in his repertoire. Daniel Craig, like I said, is in this movie as the kind of the rival Tomb Raider who sports this American accent. This is his pre-Layer Cake days when he was still kind of a I guess a unknown weasel kind of guy, and after Layer Cake, of course, he's James Bond. And then the only other actor I really want to mention is Ian Glenn, who he has one too many I's and one too less N's in his name for some reason. He was Ser Jorah in Game of Thrones.
That's right.
And he likes video game movies. He was another kind of Weasley guy in the Resident Evil movies and a couple of those franchises.
Yeah.
And he's very oily, kind of greasy hair in this movie, kind of your typical cardboard cutout villain. And then there's a lot of miscellaneous actors from the former English Empire that are in this movie that you don't need to know about. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I would just add Noah Taylor is in this. Only
Yeah.
he says one word. He says bugger. How many
Bugger.
times? Just to make sure we know he's English. Probably about 400 times in this movie.
And he's
He's
Australian, which is the weird part.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
The movie Flirting he did with Nicole Kidman like 100 years ago, just a great little character movie that he did. I just really kind of became a fan of his work. But he's been in a lot of like that. He's that guy. You point at that guy.
Yeah,
Hey, I know that guy.
He even had a slimy role in Game of Thrones also.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
kind of a bad guy.
That's true. So it was getting that cast a little bit. So just about every actress in Hollywood was up in the role that was built for it. That is, you had Catherine Zeta-Jones, of course, Charlize Theron, Uma Thurman, Liv Tyler, Denise Richards. They all kind of passed. This is the only movie that Jolie and her estranged father now, John Voight, were ever in together. That was weird. Daniel Craig's in this. I have no idea why. I can't figure out one relevant plot.
I could say he was still unknown. I guess he probably.
But the character, it just, I think it was there because I don't think they had enough confidence in a full female lead at that point. Maybe, I don't know. But I just could not figure. He hates this movie. He wish he was never in it.
Smart man.
You mentioned Angelina Jolie adopting, slightly less than everybody in the Philippines, but she'd adopted her son Maddox while she was shooting in Cambodia. Speaking of Cambodia, this is the first film that was filmed there in over 30 years. Kind of kicked Hollywood out. I think that's probably around Apocalypse Now, maybe, Mike. I'm not sure. She kept the whole
Killing Fields. Man.
Killing Fields. That's right.
Yeah, that was
something like some film that didn't paint them in a good light. I know that. Angelina Jolie kept the holsters props. She's got those at home. Those are pretty cool, kind of iconic. So shot at Pinewood Studios. A good chunk of it, Mike's one of your favorites.
There's a lot of stuff shot there.
And, I mean, there's an overwhelming presence of misogyny in this film. You could tell the studio so wanted her to be nude in this film. There's several instances of scenes getting rewritten to include nudity. There's a lot of real pushback to get out, but every opportunity.
We had a Daniel Craig shower scene too.
That's what we wanted, right? But they took every opportunity they could to try to get her nude, but cast and crew kind of pushed back wherever they could on that one. So there you go. I don't think it was for the PG rating either. I think they just wanted the titillation of that, Mike.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure sales of white T-shirts skyrocketed though.
They sure did. So this was released on June 15th, as you mentioned. It's kind of not really with a whole lot of competition on that particular weekend. A lot of art films, nothing really came up against this big juggernaut. Prior to that, in June, you had some bigger films in theaters. You had the animated film Atlantis. You had the sci-fi comedy Evolution. And one of the worst film titles I could think of, What's the Worst That Could Happen? With Martin Lawrence and several other folks. I'll tell you what the worst thing that could happen is you can name that movie that title. That's the worst.
Or run around the streets with a gun in your hand.
That too, in a sweatsuit.
That's right.
Weekend after this, they caught some competition from the first Fast and Furious movie. A lot of folks don't remember that that was only not a franchise at one point. It was a movie on June 22nd, coupled with AI. And my personal favorite of the three here, Pootie Tang, came out that weekend. So the race was on. The box office for that year, you had, of course, Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone came out that year. You had Shrek, Monsters, Inc., The Mummy Returns, and number 5 was Rush Hour 2. And Tomb Raider came in at number 14 that year. So it was a very competitive year.
So it was, I know we'll get to it at the end, but I guess it was a mild success if they had a sequel.
That was a big hit. Yeah.
Okay.
And no counting for taste, I guess. So there you go. On the music scene, it was, again, just all somebody featuring somebody else and a lot of boy bands. That's all you really had. You had the song Ride With Me with Nelly featuring City Spud, like City Spud.
I forgot about him.
Other collabs was Eve with Gwen Stefani, somebody featuring Jay-Z, I'm sure. You had a lot of boy bands were taking over. You had NSYNC, O-Town, Backstreet Boys were all in the top 20. And our end of the world, Mike, where people play guitars and write their own music, you had U2, Elevation was on the charts.
That sounds familiar.
That's on the soundtrack for this movie. And Hash Pipe by Weezer. That was one of the bigger rock hits. So there you go. You get yourself a first-gen iPod for $399, Mike. I had one 4 years later. Rudy Giuliani was named Times Man of the Year for his efforts.
2001.
2001, yeah. Big Dumb Rosie O'Donnell had started a magazine for about a year, and then folded up. Madison was the most popular girl's name. It wasn't even a name prior to that, but it caught on from the movie Splash in 1984.
Oh, thank God it wasn't Billy Madison.
Yeah. So, yes, if you recall, Daryl Hannah as the mermaid didn't know what her name was, so she saw Madison Avenue, so she said her name was Madison. And Tom Hanks says, Madison's not a name. And then, 15 years later, every girl in the country was named Madison.
Oh, that's crazy.
This year, the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in the World Series. So some shameful joy for me on that one, because everybody thought the Yankees were entitled because of 9/11. They were entitled to win the World Series. But the Arizona Diamondbacks had something to say about that. Movie tickets would cost you $5.66 for an evening show, Mike. Not too bad. And the most popular movie candy for that year were the Jolly Rancher Bites, Mike, which are still a thing. And still delicious.
Nice.
That was the scene, and a lot of movies came out that year. This one had a lot of hype. Just about every kid in the country had played this game as a kid, and I think that's where all the marketing really was. It was certainly written for that audience, that's for sure. But I think there's nothing left to do but other than get into it, Mike. So if you get ready to go?
I'm good to go. I got my Jolly Rancher Bites that will stick to my teeth, and I'm ready.
I've got my air sickness bag, so let's just, Mike, if you would, please hit the button. One thing I did like, there's no title credits after the title card scene. There's no opening credits. That was kind of cool. It just kind of gets to it.
No voiceover saying,
Yeah, no.
In the Earth in 2,000 years. Yeah, it's like, come on. Or no, there's no Luke Perry like digging in a tomb in Giza or something.
Yeah, but they did some other plot contrivance that took the place of that. So you see this kind of Raiders of the Lost Ark style opening where Laura's in this. You knew right away this was a training exercise. I did anyway. Even back in 2001, I said this isn't real. So she's doing all her Laura Croft stuff, her gymnastics and her stunts and her leaps and her rolls and her parkour and all that good stuff, shooting things. And for some reason, Ed 209 from RoboCop comes out and starts attacking her. And there's techno music, Mike, and there's squibs going off and broken stuff, and it's cool.
Didn't you have Matrix flashbacks watching this?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, they had aped so much of the styling of that movie with the techno and the sunglasses and the quick shots and the like slow-mo edits and like almost trying to like show you the bullet hitting the, when she's doing the training thing, like the bullets hitting the concrete.
Yeah,
just
this could have been Trinity easily.
Yeah,
but of course, it ends up with it's a training program, and her little partner Noah Taylor is there, and he's the scientist that rigs all these things. He lives in a trailer outside the mansion, Mike. We can never figure out what that's about.
And I live in a van down by the river.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. Of course, the scene has to end with her in the shower, right, Mike? So and they said that was the hardest shot to film because, of course, she's covered in head to toe in tattoos, and they had to shoot this thing from several different angles. But they weren't going to let that stop.
Good luck with it. Yeah, good luck, Simon.
So
I'm sure he worked okay with that.
Gratuitous partial nudity wins out yet again. Meanwhile, we cut back to I guess the Illuminati makes its presence here.
Yes, and it's always based in like Venice or some kind of
right.
Creepy
so they're having their meeting of bad guys, including the main bad guy, Ian. What's his name?
Ian Glenn.
Yeah, Ian Glenn, and he claims that he'll have the key because they know about these two parts to a key that can control something about the Keeper of Time. But they never explain
realignment.
But they never explain why or what they're going to do with it. They just talk about
it's all power. It's all powerful eye. Come on,
they won't have light. And this is a 5,000 year eclipse, so they won't have another chance. So that they need to get both halves of this key. There you go.
A meteor hit the Earth thousands of years ago, and from this meteor that it impacted the Earth at the exact time of this 7-planet alignment, and they gathered this core of this meteor and created this magical eye. That's crazy, huh?
Oh, just hearing you say it out loud makes me just want to quit the podcast and go home. Can we just go home?
No.
All right.
Finish.
All right. So the next scene is Laura Croft having a dream featuring her dad. they're telling her the story of the key, and she wakes up, and there's a little homage to Young Frankenstein here, where she gets up and hears this clock ticking, and she smashes down a wall and finds her father's secret lab.
Yeah, there wasn't a cigar in the ashtray though.
Yeah, and it ends up it's got part of the key in it, and as that happens, a bunch of armed commandos kind of smash into the mansion and start shooting, and you get another Matrix homage here for about 7 or 8 minutes, I think, Mike. Yeah. Did you ever feel like she was in any danger at any point?
No,
Not me either.
no. I always knew that after this scene was over, we would get another shot of the front of that estate again.
Yeah.
For like the 5th or 6th time, and everything would be okay.
Yeah. So there's this bad guy named Powell, who's played by Ian here from Game of Thrones. He's kind of like Belloc.
Yes. Without any nuance, except that he's into Buddhism or meditation somehow.
Yeah, and he smokes dark cigarettes, so he's got to be a bad guy.
Oh,
with the English accent, right? And he likes to lounge a lot. When is he not lounging? He's always lounging on day beds. Where do you find many day beds in the friggin' world, man? Can we get a day bed for Powell, please?
He needs to relax. He's been very stressed out.
Just stand up, you jerk. But he convinces her they have to work together to find the other piece, which they suspect is in Cambodia. So they do that, and there's a scene here where they fight a bunch of monkeys in the jungle, which really harkened me back to Congo, Mike. Some pretty bad CGI, but these stone monkeys kind of come together, and all the archaeologists here, Mike, are like action heroes. Like,
of course.
I mean, how did they get such? Even I know some people that study archaeology, and believe me.
Are they called archaeologists? Or are they called tomb raiders? There were 2 tomb raiders in this movie.
I mean, none of the archaeologists I know are throwing any haymakers anywhere.
Well, that's true.
She meets up with Daniel Craig here. I think he plays a guy named Wilson. Just as we can't figure out why Daniel Craig here. So he was Alex West, so he's like just like the director. Yeah, I think it's one of those self-insert characters. Yeah. Yeah, inside joke that no one cares about. Great call, guys. So they fight the Congo monkeys, and it leads them to Siberia, where the Illuminati finally comes together, and they all they go to some chamber in Siberia where this big this big mechanism is big. The triangle is right.
Yeah, there's half the triangle was in Cambodia, and the other half is supposedly on the other side of the world, which where we infer from the Russians that it must be Siberia or somewhere up there.
Right. And so they go in this room, and there's this big like rotating machine that to me it reeked of something on Takeshi's Castle, Mike, the Japanese show.
Don't get hit by the flying ball, you get knocked in the water.
Yeah. But it's this point where they find the other part of the key. And they fuse it together and nothing happens. And then Laura Croft says, well, I know you don't do it because I know how to actually activate it. Because of course they're going to do it the wrong way. She knew the right way because John Voight told her.
Of course.
And then Pal turns on the Illuminati, shoots all them after the key is activated. And it creates this kind of alternate universe that they kind of fall into where Pal throws a knife and kills Daniel Craig. And then they go into this triangle. Laura Croft and Pal, he gets
my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, she gets sent to an alternate reality where she has a big conversation with her dad. He falls into like a Superman 2 vortex thing where you think he's dead, of course, but of course he's not, Mike. And then she goes out and she manipulates time, and just like they did Superman, the world goes backwards. She takes the knife out of midair and saves Daniel Craig from it, and she flings it back and kills Pal.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she, as everything starts crashing down, she sled dogs out to the tune of Basement Jacks. And there's an 8-minute credit, and then what I like best before the credits roll, Mike, the freeze frame ending.
Yes. Oh.
She comes out in her little dress, all prim and proper, like Alfred the Butler told her she's supposed to look like, and then. But she's too cool for that. And then
of course,
Ed 209 comes out for another round, ready to go again. And then she looks in the camera, raises the eyebrow, and then you get some techno, and you're free to go. The end.
You may leave the theater.
Oh, so that's it, guys. And I didn't leave out anything. the exception
Not
of some
really.
scenes where she has some, interaction with some like this
It's
Cambodian children that kind of
yeah, and
put some mysticism in there where she sees these children that seem to know everything about her.
yeah, there's a lot of it's a very thin
That might be a
plot.
video game thing that I just didn't pay attention to.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons it's hard to kind of for
There's,
us as old men
yeah,
to judge it, I guess.
there's a lot of video game Easter eggs here that I'm sure we're just, dismissing
Yeah.
as crap, but they mean something to somebody, not
And
us.
some of the techno music would probably be really cool if there were like variations of some of the music from the games, which it looked
Yeah.
like in the credits they had a couple of songs that were like Lars mix and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to know if I knew anything about the video games.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're like, one first person shooter kind of games or if they're like
They're a third person like action adventure puzzle type thing. So
okay.
they're mostly, to me, they're just mostly frustrating. It's a lot of doubling
Is
back
it?
on where you came from and clicking this lever and then going to another place and then hitting this door
Quests.
and then a lot of
Fetch quests,
quests.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they have like actual real people that are enemies in the game, or are they just all like creatures inside the tombs and
It's a
stuff?
mix. It's a mix of both. A lot of
Okay.
a lot of dogs and demons and mummies and
So there's no greasy Italian guys in there, maybe.
no, just Tomb Raider types.
Yeah, gotcha.
Things in tombs.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know how much this movie had been, made
Yeah.
from like cloth and just kind of brought in and said, okay, this is her official backstory, or
Yeah, I think most people came into it knowing what a lot of that was, and then they
okay.
they were in on a joke we weren't, Mike. So speaking of, let's put this thing in the ground. Let's put it in the zone too, so we can get on with our lives here. So awards and accolades. It had a huge opening, $47 million. And that's a lot of money adjusted for inflation. That would be pretty big today. It ended up doing a domestic haul of $131 million and a worldwide gross of $275 million. So that automatically greenlit a sequel, which was much less well received. They replaced Daniel Craig with the three Gerard Butler, I think.
Oh wow.
Cradle of Life. Mike, did we see these in the theater ourselves?
It's funny you said that. I just thinking we saw this one in the
I think we
theater
saw this in the theater
2001.
together, didn't we? Yeah.
Do you remember the first thing we probably said to each other when we came out? Because I remember this distinctly. As soon as I rewatched this last night, I remember the first conversation we had when we came out of that theater was, "Why bugger?" It was like, what was the point of constantly saying bugger?
That's it. That triggered me. Okay, now I remember because you
Yeah.
were off the chain. Understand? He just said bugger all the time.
It was just like,
We did see this together. Okay.
I didn't. I guess it put me off enough to not watch the sequel that came out a couple of years later.
Yeah. So that's it. It's had a long-standing history of like successful video games that came out since then. Just about every new platform launch has a Lara Croft game that got consistently better. Her dimensions have not changed, however, Mike. She's
Okay.
So they keep that homage for sure. This won a Kids' Choice Award for Best Female Action Hero. That's the Blimpie for those keeping score at home. Angelina Jolie won a Blimpie.
I'm not going there, Justin.
I'd rather have the sub.
Hang
But
up
yeah,
there.
it was nominated by the good folks at MTV, and so they're cute, acknowledgement of talent for Best Female Performance, but she lost to Nicole Kidman in Moulin Rouge.
Good.
Oh, yeah. It was also nominated for Best Fight, but it lost to Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan in Rush Hour 2.
Okay.
I don't think Chris Tucker did a lot of the heavy lifting in that fight scene. I'm guessing. That's just me.
He just did a lot of mugging, probably.
I'm guessing like a lot of high pitched screaming.
Yeah. Of course.
It did want to get nominated for a Razzie, of course, for Angelina Jolie, but she was easily beaten out by Mariah Carey in Glitter. So justice prevailed.
That is justice. I will agree.
Yeah, I think there was a remake in 2018 with the Dutch actress. Can't think of her name, of course, right now.
Big Vikander.
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
Did not really move the needle a whole lot. People weren't really looking for that, I suppose. Was a little less gratuitous sexually. It was more of an action film. Probably pretty
kind
good.
of toned down her proportions too.
Yeah, it made her like a realistic person. That probably drove audiences away. I kind of wanted to see that, but I'll probably give it a shot when I'm old. I can't do anything else better with my life. Let's talk about the grumpy meter here, Mike. So what we do with this premise of this podcast is we talk about the first time we saw them as younger guys, and then we watch them again as grumpy old jerks and see how our opinions change. So, Mike, why don't you kick us off and do just that? Cheer up.
All right. This was, you watch some movies because going in, they're going to be bad, and you're going to enjoy it because it's bad. This is a movie I could not enjoy because it was bad when I started watching it. But unlike a film like Battlefield Earth or even Waterworld, you knew going in those movies were going to be bad, and you were prepared for the cringe and for the just hammy acting and just terribleness of it, and so you could stand watching it. I did watch this movie. But I'm going to confess, I kind of found myself wandering back and working on my drawing and not necessarily staring at every frame of this movie like I should. I'm supposed to do that for this podcast. I apologize ahead of time. I shirked my duty, but I did. I remember watching it like you say you were triggered by the word bugger in the movie, and I got triggered by watching this again because I remember how just and again, I'm going to couch this by saying I don't know anything about the video game, but as a viewer of this movie, I should be able to consume it and watch it without having to play the video game and still enjoy the experience of watching this movie on its own. And like I said, as soon as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is basically the Matrix in like a much lesser kind of intellect form. It had the stylings, like I said, of the Matrix. It had, more techno music, but it had less techno babble. And but it still felt almost flat and just cartoonish, even with like, we've joked about the proportions of Angelina Jolie kind of mimicking Lara Croft. It even had that kind of element to it. And everything about it was just kind of just very cardboardish. The villains are two-dimensional. The hero itself is hard to like her. She is smug, more smug than any Steven Seagal movie I've seen. And it's amazing that he could think about somebody being less smug, but you look at her in this movie and the raised eyebrow, the kind of like smirk on her face. It's just she's so unlikable. And she's one of the most privileged protagonists you could ever imagine. I mean, here's this person who has butlers.
Because he's my butler.
She has her own scientist tech guy that works for her. Not to mention she has Bugatti and a motorcycle she rides around in. She's able to call up the Australian Air Force apparently at any moment and fly to Cambodia, and has all this equipment. And like I said, it's hard to root for somebody this smug. And that's my take on it in a way. But yeah, it's and then you add that to just the thinnest veneer of plots, and it's just hard to watch. And it has one of the worst movie quotes, one of the cringiest movie quotes I ever heard in history. And you'll have to wait to the end of the podcast to get that one.
Oh, a cliffhanger! I love it.
There's your teaser.
All right, good take, Mike. Yeah, I'm not too far away from you, Mike. The first time we watched it, we were together, and I was like, meh,
it was a summer movie. It was just fluff. But like I said, rewatching it now, I almost hated it. But back then, it was more like, ugh. It was just kind of,
I think I've got, from a 20-year perspective, going back and, looking at it again, I've developed more tools in the toolbox to determine how to judge and review movies, at least in my little head, at least. And you talked about it pretty well, so I'm just going to add to it that there's strata for a bad movie, right? So you can go in expecting or not expecting, but once you're in there and you're trapped in the dark room with 400 other people, it's hard to get up and walk out, right? You don't want to be those people. Right. Those guys left. What's wrong with them? So the next tier down is like, okay, you try to salvage it with like hate watching it, like watching it to like, okay, this is going to be bad. But let's have some fun with it, right? Which is kind of the premise of this stupid podcast. But I don't remember us even enjoying that. I remember it was like, it wasn't even bad enough to make fun. It wasn't even good enough to make fun of bad. It was
Yeah.
just a chore. I'm going to go back to I'm going to go to do a callback here. I had a particular rant about the movie Planet of the Apes, which also came out the same year, and I
Yeah.
said it was Typhoid Mary for similarly infected movies to come. And I think this is my theory, Mike. But that movie set a precedent for it. You could put anything on the screen,
Uh-oh.
and their fan bases will eat it up. They'll come for more. And I think they stopped caring during that movie. And I think this is a direct result of that mentality, that mindset in Hollywood. That who watched these dailies at the studio said, "This is great. This is gonna be the
Bring more of that, please.
No, this was a dramatization of a video game. It was not a movie, and so it's just one of those things where you just know it was the $100 million movie that they expect you to see because they're expensive. I think that's all that really was. And I probably gave it a 1 out of 5 in that theater experience just because we were there, just not at home. Having to pay $3.99 on Amazon to watch this on my 15-inch laptop at 6 a.m. in the morning, I felt robbed. I said, this got me it stole 2 hours out of my life again.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like you. I'm going to be honest. I had it on, and I was writing the script for it as I was watching it. Typically, I do those things separately so I can provide the detail they both deserve. But I honestly knew I wasn't missing anything. Writing all the details down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, there was so little exposition and so much left out of what these characters were about that it was an hour and 40-minute runtime, and it went by very quickly.
Yeah.
As bad as it was, usually you that hour and 40 minutes would feel like, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of just action. This, go there, there, and then boom, 8 minutes of credits.
But you know what?
It was very quick.
Raiders of the Lost Ark did the same movie 20 years ago, completely perfectly. So much better.
Yeah.
Why not just steal that? You had that little 8-minute exposition scene at the beginning of the movie where the guys come in from the government and explain what the Ark of the Covenant is, and then after that movie just goes.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
How could this movie not use that framework?
It was so confusing about like this triangle thing, and I mean, confusing and not confusing at the same time because it was so stupid that but it was still like, just maybe work a little bit more into create this universe where this makes sense, or not that it makes sense, but that you have somebody, the protagonist is kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And not read some William Blake poem and, instantly know what's going on. It's like, what?
Right.
What? Wait, what? But then and one more thing I wanted to add, I'm glad you mentioned Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Find one parallel that's not the same.
Yeah. I was saying about how, our hero in this movie is kind of smug. You think about a couple other movies you watch, like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Harrison Ford's character in that movie. And
cocky.
Even, he's cocky, but he's not smug.
Yeah.
He's not right all the time, And in Ripley and Aliens, you think there's a female protagonist that, she gets pretty beat up before she finally gets her victory at the end.
She's horrified most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, and she has pre-knowledge of how bad these aliens are, but she's not like throwing it in people's face and like smirking and say, "Oh, I know more than you do." It's like it was just so off-putting. And I just wanted to make kind of give a couple examples of good heroes.
Yeah, but again,
it's not that it's Angelina Jolie's fault. She's a good actress.
No, I think this is just. I think the reason that we don't like this movie is because it's indicative of what we feel, at least in this studio, is an epidemic that took over in Hollywood around the time that millennials came, the main audience. And this is not a knock on millennials. We have the opinion, and we said this before. I feel like I have to recant some of my testimony here, Mike. We feel that there are no bad movies. There's movies you don't like, right? So, and we want to make sure that everybody that like this movie. We're not saying that we're not disrespecting your tastes.
No.
We're not challenging your value system. We're just saying that this is not for us, and we tried to explain why we made our argument. But
like I said, the studios were happy to get our money, but we were not the target for this. We were kind of an ancillary, side of. Hey, these guys want to show up and groan about it, that's fine. But
Yeah.
not all movies are made for us, and
Right.
we understand that. So
Well-
please keep your hate mail to a minimum.
That's a great segue. So me and Mike want to talk about the our millennial friends. There's a phenomenon going in Hollywood. A lot of people are afraid that millennials and Gen Zs are. It's shown that they don't really care for old movies, old classic movies. You ask, a modern film goer if they've seen, certain classics that previous generations had banked on, and they have no interest in seeing these. They're too old. There's an interesting article written, unfortunately, on the BuzzFeed, which I don't happen to like, but they had an article here about most millennials haven't seen 24 of these 33 classics, and it shows. So we thought, in order to kind of button up our loser talk
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
segment, which we did the previous 2 weeks, we take that same format and to do that again, but the rules this time are going to be, have we seen as many as the average millennial has seen of these classic movies? Can we put our money where our mouth is?
And let's set some ground rules here. When you say, well, let's figure out what BuzzFeed labels as a classic. Are these considered
Yes.
top drawer?
We're talking
Oscar-winning
AFI
Okay.
type quality,
Cool.
back to the 30s even, right? So
Wow. Okay.
not classics like, Harry Potter, Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking, old school history of film. There's not a lot
Gotcha.
of appreciation for that for our newer audiences, which is understandable.
Sure.
We think the greatest person in the world that we know is Molly. Molly's a millennial. Well, I kind of wish you were here for this because we probably it's more poor planning on our part. She should be part of this. Molly, if you're listening, we're sorry.
Follow along at home.
Follow along at home, Molly. Send your angry letters to Mike. But we thought in order to kind of conclude our loser talk episode, we'd use this format and challenge ourselves to see what movies we've seen and how it rates up to the average.
All right, I'm ready.
Average millennial. So again, Mike, same rules apply. If we have seen the movie at all, we'll get a point. But if we watch this movie through our own attrition, we decided to watch this movie, it's 2. That means that our parents didn't force us to watch it. It wasn't streaming. It was something we actually chose to watch.
We weren't told to watch it from an AFI list kind of thing too.
Yeah. It's just something through our natural curiosity of moviegoers we saw. So if that's the case, we'll get 2. And if it's not the case, and we just saw it in its entirety, both required in its entirety. So here we go.
What if we're so old we saw it in the theater? Is that a bonus point?
Yeah, we'll go 3 on that. All right.
Nice.
All right. So those are no one cares about the rules. They want to know what we're talking about.
And Molly, keep count at home, please.
Yeah, please. All right. So the first one on this list is The Sound of Music from 1965.
Oh wow.
So
yes, I have. I've seen this many times. It usually was shown around Easter for some reason, right? Or was this a Christmas movie? It was a holiday movie, let's put it that way. But yeah, I saw it many times on the Saturday night or Sunday night whenever it would come on. So yes, I'm very familiar with this one.
So you saw this on your own and on purpose, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Didn't see it in the theater though, because this was what, 68, 69?
Yeah. So it was an act of free will, is what we're saying. Okay.
Exactly.
Very good.
I wasn't held Malcolm McDowell style and forced to watch it.
Okay. All right. So Mike, for me, I have seen it. I did not see it on purpose. I watched it with my family, and I did not see it in the theater. So there you go. That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is The Wizard of Oz.
Oh my gosh. Yes, and yes. How many times? I've seen it a dozen times. On my free out of not because my parents told me to watch it either. It was It was very much a kids movie that I don't think they wanted to watch it the 5th or 6th time I wanted to watch it. But yeah,
I saw this in the theater as a re-release. Does that count?
That's a good one. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah. If you took that extra effort to see it,
I actively wanted to see this after I got over my fear of the flying monkeys.
Yeah. Hello, Congo.
Yeah. Talk about fear. All right. The next one on the list is Singing in the Rain, 1952.
You know what? I've never seen that movie.
Same here. Across the board. Haven't seen it.
I've seen the scenes of Gene Kelly and his little umbrella, and that's about all I know about it. Is that one scene where he's, doing the title song.
Feel bad. I should have seen that one. So there you go. Next one's something called Star Wars: A New Hope, 1977.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Now we've both seen that in the theater.
Yeah,
as a re-release.
I think
I saw it as a kid when it first came out, and I know you did too.
I think we're full boat across the board on that.
Yeah,
Right? Okay.
there we go.
Number 5, Casablanca.
Yes, and I saw this at a re-release at a theater for its
That counts.
yeah, for its
75th anniversary.
It was his 50. I saw it in '92, so it was his 50th anniversary.
Yeah, I have seen it, not on my own free will, but I did not see it in the theater, so that's 1 point for me.
Okay.
The next one on the list is Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, I saw it at the theater.
So did I. We both seen it in the theater, and I actively chose to see it.
This is one of those lists where I can kind of guess the 9 movies that probably weren't seen. Probably, I guess by the end of it, we'll probably be able to figure out or suss it out.
Okay. All right. The next one on the list is The Godfather.
Yeah. Did not see it at the theater, but
No.
I remember it was a must see because everybody in my family were like, "You got to watch this."
Oh yeah, I was so excited finally I actually get the opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is Jaws.
Saw it in the theater.
Same here. As a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I was scared just the crap out of me.
I think uncles or aunts were involved in both of our stories there, right?
I blame my parents for that one. They took me to that one.
Okay. Next on the list is West Side Story, the original from 1961.
Yes, I have seen it, but I did not see it under my own free will, and I did just see it recently. So, we're talking 5 years ago. So, the low minimum for me.
I have yet to see that one in its entirety.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a jet. The next one is Rear Window.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a big Perry Mason fan, so I had to see,
Yeah.
I had to see Raymond Burr as a bad guy for sure.
1 and 1 for both of us there. The next one on the list is Alien, the original, 1979.
Saw it in the theater.
You saw that in the theater?
Uncle Charles, yep, he took me to that one. Meanie.
I have seen that, not in the theater, and I actively chose to see that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Next one is Rebel Without a Cause.
I'm gonna probably shock people. I've never seen that.
Really?
Never seen it.
I saw that in preparation. I went to his hometown when I lived in Central Illinois.
Ah, okay.
And in preparation to go to that Fairmount, Indiana, I decided to watch all his movies in one night so I could not be there as a poser. But I did actively choose to see that. Just a great movie. Only did 3. Giant, Rebel Without a Cause, and
what was the other one?
I'm going to edit this back.
East of Eden?
East of Eden. Yeah.
Okay. And I knew it was a Steinbeck. I was like,
yeah.
Wait.
Okay. The next one on the list is number 13, 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yes. It was so. I didn't see it in the theater because it was right before I was born, obviously. But yeah, I saw it many times afterwards in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Okay.
It's such a movie ahead of its time. I'm talking about a movie that's about AI that's so much better than movies that come out about AI now. It's
just great. Next one on the list is Vertigo.
Yes.
Yes and yes for you. For my last course with Molly, I did not see this one. I still have it.
Oh.
Shameful.
Shame.
Next one on the list is Rocky, 1976.
Yes, I saw this at a theater. I don't remember it as a kid, but I remember my parents taking me all these big blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
That was along with Jaws. It was like a must-see.
There you go. Okay. Going down to number 16 here, Mary Poppins.
Never seen it. Never wanted to see it.
Same here. So across the board, don't care. Dick Van Dyke is not English. Was he in that? No.
Yeah, he's a chimney sweep. He's with a bad accent.
Horrible Cockney accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next one on the list is Citizen Kane.
Yes.
Saw it not in the theater.
No, I haven't seen a re-release of it, but I have seen it because I wanted to many times.
Exactly. Great movie. People that say Citizen Kane is boring, we don't want to be friends.
They probably like Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Now, be nice. All right, the next one, of course, is the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I think we know where we stand there.
Theater.
Load, boom, boom, boom. Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yes, but I didn't. I was too young to watch it in the theater. Obviously.
Yeah, saw it, wanted to see it. Next
Yeah.
one is Grease.
Yeah, I didn't see it at the theater. I wasn't one of those kids that went to see it in, what was it, 78?
Yeah,
I did not like musicals when I was little,
Yeah.
but I saw it later on, probably when I was in college.
I saw it not in the theater, and I don't think I wanted to see it. I think it was something that we all sat down on HBO to watch.
Yep.
And as a 7-year-old, my vote didn't count.
I actually saw Grease 2 before I saw the movie Grease. So think of that as you will.
That's like a Dickensian twist on.
It is, right?
All right, the next one is Blade Runner.
Yes, but I did not see it till late on. We did our
Uh-huh.
podcast on it, and that was the first time I saw the whole movie at one time.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in the theater in the re-release in 1991.
Oh, wow.
And consequently, in 1996, and again in 2002.
Damn.
And then I wanted to see it, so there you go. So I checked all my boxes. Check. All right, get to the final roll here. Some Like It Hot, 1959.
Yes, I enjoyed that one, but it was one of those. It was a must see when it came on, like a late movie kind of situation.
Yeah, same here. I wanted to see it. The next one is The Shining. Seen it?
Yeah. I didn't see it at the theater, but I did see it when it first came on HBO. So it was one of those first run kind of things.
Yeah, I do you see it of your own free will, or did you stay
No,
behind
I did.
You did.
No,
Okay, same here.
I wanted to watch it, but as I'm watching it, I'm like, why am I watching this? It was so scary. But I
Not
made
good,
it
right?
through.
All right.
Yeah, poor Scat Man.
Final stretch. It's a Wonderful Life.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yep. As many times as it's been on at Christmas, and as many people have watched it, and it's one of those I could probably tell you the whole story.
Uh-huh. Probably could.
Out you pixies, and I know all this, but I don't. I've never seen the whole movie.
This is a staple every year. This is the first movie we watch at the holiday season. So
Wow.
1-1
Good
for
for
me. All right. And you're right that you could probably pick the whole plot, but that's kind of the point. Next one's Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Never seen it.
Really?
I'm quickly descending into millennialhood here.
I've seen this. I've seen it in the theater as a re-release, and I wanted to go see it.
Okay.
All right. Number 26 on the list is Ghostbusters, movie we covered.
Theater.
Good. 1-1-1. There we go. Number 27 on the list is The Breakfast Club.
Oh wow, yeah.
You saw it in the
I
theater?
did not see it in the theater.
Neither did I. I wanted to
I
see
saw
it
it right
then.
afterward. Yeah, it was a VHS thing.
All right. The next one on the list, we're getting home stretch. So the last 6 here. The Terminator, 1984.
Yes, and I saw it in the theater.
I wanted to see it. I've seen it. I did not see it in the theater. Saw it on HBO, and I certainly did want to see it.
Oh yeah.
Number 29 is Taxi Driver.
Yes, but I didn't. No, I was too young, so I saw it later.
Yeah, I saw it.
forward.
I wanted to see it. I chose to see it. Okay. Number 30, Scarface from 1983, Al Pacino.
This is one of those movies that, I don't think a lot of people saw it at the theater, but it got such a cult following after it got released that I think most people watched it later when it came on.
Yeah.
Some kind of place where you could actually watch it uncensored.
Yeah.
And watch it there.
Was that you?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I had never seen this movie in its entirety.
Okay.
Entirety, so I'll take one on the chin there. All right, number 31 is Psycho, the original.
Oh yeah, another Hitchcock.
Yeah, saw that one because I wanted to, not in the theater.
Yeah, same here.
Number 32 is Gone with the Wind.
Yes,
Seen
but
it.
I've never seen a re-release of it, but I've seen it
saw
multiple times.
Saw it because I wanted to. And then the final 33 of our millennial list here that they don't like to watch is North by Northwest.
Hitchcock again. Yes, I've seen that one.
Okay. So one and then again, as previously stated on the other podcast, I had not seen it.
Okay.
All right. So the average millennial, according to BuzzFeed.com, has seen 24 of these movies. How many of these movies have your host seen? Mike, you've seen 28 of them.
Okay, that's fair.
I've seen 28 of them.
Oh wow.
There you go. Peas in a
How about
pod.
that? I know. That seems about right. There was.
Yeah.
Like I was saying a little bit ago, you can almost pick out the ones that most millennials aren't going to watch Some Like It Hot or
Yeah.
maybe Sound of Music, but they would watch the new version of West Side Story instead of the one from '61, or Singing in the Rain. Who's watching a musical from the '50s?
What I think is clever about this list, though, is that it kind of takes the generational things away from it.
Right.
Why wouldn't a millennial watch Gone with the Wind? Why would we watch Gone with the Wind? There's no criteria. What's the difference between 14 years,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So millennials, we beat you. Haha. So there you go.
Barely. I mean,
Barely.
you take 24 out of 33. That's
No, I think it was
respectable. I think before this list started, before you started reading these movies out, I thought we would hear more movies that were from like the 70s and 80s, like Close Encounter of the Third Kind or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of thing, or even Godfather 2. Bigger movies that were closer to our time. And I thought, hey, we're gonna have 32 out of 33 of these, but like you say, as you spread them out over all the way to 1939, you kind of do miss some of these.
I think it was an interesting experiment. It kind of ended up right where I thought it would end up. So there you go. All right, so we did that long enough where I almost forgot about Tomb Raider, Mike.
Oh yeah, Tomb Raider.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to kind of wrap it up here, guys. So thank you for listening for us. If you'd like to check out anything about our show, you can go onto Instagram and look at Grumpy Nostalgia, where we put up clips and upcoming attractions and all that good stuff. You can reach us through a DM on that. And also send us an email at nostalgiagrumps@gmail.com. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms. And if you should listen to those, please rate and review, because that really helps drive traffic to our show. Speaking of driving traffic, we want to do a special call out to our friends Podcorn Kernels. The boys have just cracked the top 100 in the Apple Podcast Film and TV Review on a very young website, so we're very proud of those guys. So Harry and Adam, congratulations on your feat. And the sky's the limit, boys. Just keep up the good work, and we're big fans. And if you have listened to the Podcorn Kernels, we strongly encourage all of you to check those guys out. They're just like us, but funny. So appreciate it, guys.
Hey.
So congratulations, guys. Mike, that's going to kind of wrap on our end. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yes. Into the belly of the beast, out of the demon's ass.
That's the line you're talking about, right?
That could be it.
All I can say that is the bum's gone to sleep again. All on the left side. All right.
There you go.
On that horrible accent note, we're going to wrap it up. So, guys, thanks for listening. For Mike James, this is Justin, and we'll see you again next time.
Wonderful. Bye then.